Today we come to the middle way, the middle path, or the middle practice. Yesterday we learned about the two extremes: devotion to enjoyment of sensual pleasures on the one hand, and devotion to self-mortification on the other. And Buddha said both practices did not lead to final deliverance from all suffering. So after stating the two extremes, after stating that these two extremes should not be followed by those who have gone forth, Buddha continued saying, bhikkhus, avoiding these two extremes, the Tathagata has gained the penetrative knowledge of the middle practice or middle path, which produces vision and foremost knowledge and tends to come to higher knowledge, penetrative insight, and realization of Nibbana. So Buddha declared that he had penetrated, or he had known the middle way or middle path, and he described it as producing vision and foremost knowledge and tending to calmness or stillness of mental defilements, to higher knowledge, to penetrative insight and realization of Nibbana. So in this sentence Buddha said, avoiding these two extremes, the Tathagata has gained the penetrative knowledge, and so on. So whenever Buddha wanted to refer to himself, he used the word Tathagata and not the Buddha. So in many discourses Buddha said the Tathagata is this or Tathagata is that. So in this sutta also Buddha referred to him as Tathagata. And the word Tathagata in Pali has many meanings. And the commentaries give so many meanings that we are not sure which is the basic meaning of the word. So whenever Buddha wanted to refer to himself, he used the word Tathagata. It is translated as truth finder or thus come. Tatha means thus, and Gata means come or go or knowing. So you can say any meaning for this word Tathagata. So he said Tathagata has discovered or penetrated the middle way or middle path, avoiding these two extremes. So not approaching any one of the two extremes, the Tathagata had discovered and known or penetrated the middle practice. So that middle practice is called middle way or middle path. And that middle path produces vision and foremost knowledge. So this middle path or middle way will give you vision and knowledge. Now here vision and knowledge are the same thing. Seeing here means not seeing with the natural eyes, but seeing with wisdom eye. So vision and knowledge here are the same. So vision and knowledge of what? Vision and knowledge of mind and matter, or mental and physical phenomena, and also vision and knowledge of Nibbana. So if we follow this path, then we will get the vision and knowledge of mind and matter and so on. Now, this path, as you may have guessed, is the path of vipassana and also the path of magga, or the realization of Four Noble Truths. So when we practice this path, this vipassana path, then the Buddha said we will get vision and knowledge. That means we will be able to see mind and matter clearly through the practice of this path. And after seeing mind and matter clearly, that is, seeing through one's own experience. So after seeing mind and matter clearly, we will also come to see the cause-effect relationship of all phenomena. So when we see the mind and matter clearly, and when we see that at every moment of meditation, at every moment of mindfulness, there is only mind and matter, then we get the right view that there is nothing apart from mind and matter. There is no soul or no being or no person or whatever, just the mind and matter arising and disappearing at every moment. And after seeing mind and matter clearly and having got the right view about mind and matter, we will also come to see that when we see something, there is a seeing consciousness. Now, there is seeing because there is something to be seen. In the same way, there is hearing because there is something to be heard. There is smelling because there is something to be smelled, and so on. And so, what we thought formerly to be isolated cases, we now see them as connected with each other, as cause and effect. Because there is ignorance, because we do not know the true nature of things, there is attachment or clinging to these things. And because there is clinging, there is what we call actions, good or bad actions. And because there are good or bad actions, there are bound to be good or bad results in this life as well as in future lives. So, through this path, we will be able to see this connectedness as cause and effect of mind and matter. And then we will also be able to see that the mind that makes note of, and the matter or another state of mind which is being noted, arise and disappear, arise and disappear. So these phenomena just arise and disappear. And when we see the arising and disappearing of all phenomena, we also come to see that they are impermanent, they are unsatisfactory, and they are insubstantial. And when we practice further, when this practice has fully matured, then we will be able to realize Nibbana, able to see the Four Noble Truths direct. And so this practice or this path can give us different kinds of vision and knowledge, or just the knowledge of mind and matter and so on. And then it can lead us to calm. That means we will be able to calm the mental defilements. We will be able to still the mental defilements, and also we will be able to eradicate these mental defilements altogether. When we practice vipassana meditation, we are stealing, we are avoiding the arising of mental defilements. When we watch things closely, when we watch the objects closely and pay attention, we see their true nature. And when we see their true nature, there cannot be attachment to them or aversion towards them. And so we suppress or we steal mental defilements when we practice this kind of meditation or when we follow this path. And at the moment of enlightenment, then we will be able to get rid of these mental defilements altogether. That is, they will be so eradicated that they will not arise in us anymore. So this practice, this path, leads to calming of mental defilements or suppression of mental defilements and also total eradication of mental defilements. During vipassana stage, the abandoning of mental defilements is called momentary. So with vipassana, we can get rid of mental defilements only momentarily. That is, only when there is vipassana, there is abandonment of mental defilements. The moment we do not practice vipassana, and they will come back. So it is compared to light dispelling darkness. So when there is light, darkness is dispelled. Then when light disappears, darkness comes back. So like that, the abandonment of mental defilements by vipassana meditation is temporary or momentary. But at the moment of enlightenment, at the moment of realization of Four Noble Truths, including Nibbana, then the eradication is total. So this path will lead us to both temporary coming down of mental defilements and also total eradication of them. Then it tends to higher knowledge. That means it will help us to see, to have a super knowledge of the Four Noble Truths. This practice, both vipassana and the realization stage, magga, will help us to see the Four Noble Truths. During the practice of vipassana meditation, we try to be mindful of whatever is at the present moment, and so we see them clearly, and we see them arising and disappearing and so on. So at the moment of vipassana, what we see is, or what we see belongs to the first noble truth, the noble truth of suffering, because mind and matter are all included in the noble truth of suffering. And at every moment we pay attention to the objects, we avoid, say, having attachment to it or aversion to it, and so we are also abandoning mental defilements when we pay attention to the things at the present moment. So when we pay attention to the things at the present moment and we see their nature, that they just arise and disappear, then ignorance is dispelled at that moment. When ignorance is dispelled, there can be no mental formations or good or bad actions, and when there are no good or bad actions, there will be no resultant consciousness and aggregate in the future. So at the moment of the vipassana meditation, we are also realizing the second noble truth, that is abandoning the second noble truth, which is craving. and along with craving, the ignorance and others. And also at the moment of vipassana, we are developing these factors. We are developing mindfulness, we are developing concentration, developing understanding, and so on. And so we are developing the fourth noble truth also. So at the level of vipassana meditation also, we are, say, experiencing, or we are realizing the Four Noble Truths in a certain way. And if we reach the stage of enlightenment, then we will really see the Four Noble Truths direct. So this path, this practice will lead us to understanding, or to knowing the Four Noble Truths. And then it will lead us to penetrative insight. Here, insight does not mean just vipassana. It is an insight into the nature of things. Now, we do not see the true nature of things because there is a great wall, something like a great wall between the real nature and us. And that the great wall is the great wall of ignorance. When this ignorance is pierced or penetrated or destroyed, then we see things clearly. So this path, consisting of vipassana path and also of the magga path, will lead us to the penetrative insight into all phenomena. Since even at the moment of vipassana, the ignorance is dispelled, we will be able to penetrate into the nature of things, into mind and matter, or into all conditioned things, and into the nature of Four Noble Truths. And last, Buddha said that it will lead to realization of Nibbana. Now this practice, this method, this way, or this path will lead us to the realization of Nibbana. Actually, the vipassana path will lead us to realization of Nibbana. And at the moment of realization, then that is the real path. And then, after reaching the realization stage, or after reaching enlightenment, one becomes a noble person. And if he reaches the fourth stage, then he becomes an arahant. When he becomes an arahant, he has no more wholesome or unwholesome karma. And since he does not accumulate no more wholesome or unwholesome karma, with his last conscious moment in that life, he will disappear like a flame and going out. And after that moment, nothing will arise or nothing will be produced. It is like the flame which goes out when the fuel is exhausted. So this practice will lead to the realization of Nibbana, and it will lead to the final cessation of all suffering, which is Nibbana. Now, what is this middle path? I think you all know what this middle path is. And this is simply the Noble Eightfold Path, consisting in right view or right understanding, right thought, and so on. So, this path or this practice which Buddha discovered has 8 components, and these are called 8 factors of path. And they are, say, right understanding or right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. I hope you get all 8 of them in this order. So if you are a student of Buddhism and student of Vipassana, I think you should know them in this order. Now, before we talk about the different factors, we must understand the path. Now, what is called path really is the enlightenment, or at the moment of enlightenment. That is the true, or that is the real path. Because after enlightenment, even after the first stage of enlightenment, one is sure to reach Nibbana. There can be no regression, or there can be no, missing the point. So after enlightenment, one is sure to reach Nibbana. So the path, if it is to be called a path at all, then it must be, or it must begin with that enlightenment. So that is the real path. But in order to reach that real path, we need something preceding it, preliminary to that path, another path. So there is a real path, and then the preliminary path, and then in order to reach that preliminary path, we need some small road, some approach to that path. So there are three segments or 3 stages. The first is called the basic, so basic path, and the second is called preliminary path, and the third is called path, the real path. So we have to have in mind these 3 stages when we study the Noble Eightfold Path, or the factors of Eightfold Path one by one. I think it is like, say, there is a road to a city, a highway. Then suppose until 5 miles to the city, that highway or that road has many small exits or small roads, going into it or going out of it. But from the 5-mile point to the city, there are no diversions in the road. There's only one road. So if we ask, are you on the right path? Then you can say, if you are within the 5-mile range, then you can say, yes, we are on the right path, because we are going to reach it without fail. But when you are on the road before the 5-mile point, how would you say? Are you on the right path? Maybe. if we follow the right path, this path, then we will reach. But if we diverge from this road, then we will not reach the city. So that path is not what you call. We cannot say that we are on the right path, because we may miss the city, because there are so many side roads. And then in order to reach that path, we need some small road, say, to get into that freeway or highway. So there are 3 stages. Now, the first of the factors is what? Right understanding or right view. Now, right understanding has different aspects. There is right understanding, which is called the understanding of beings having karma as their own property. In other words, belief in the law of karma. So belief in the law of karma is also called right understanding. And this right understanding is the basic to all wholesome actions. if we do not have this right understanding of the law of karma, then we cannot hope to get wholesome karma or wholesome actions. So this is basic to whatever wholesome actions we do. Now, we see in the world that there is action and there is reaction. And actions can be good or bad, and so the reactions also can be good or bad. So, by considering these things, we can guess that there is the cause and there is the effect or result. And so, there is connection between them as cause and effect, something like that. We can understand the law of karma in that way. And this belief in or acceptance of law of karma is an important factor in this path. And so the right understanding means in this stage the understanding of law of karma. And this understanding of law of karma is not obtained through practice of meditation or it does not come to us intuitively, but we just accept it because we have faith, say, in the scriptures, or we have faith in the Buddha, or we have faith in the teachers. So this law of understanding of law of karma actually is not intuitive knowledge, but some acceptance or some belief taken on faith because we have confidence in the scriptures and so on. But it is important that we have this understanding or the belief in law of karma. Now, depending upon that belief, say we practice meditation. Now when we practice meditation, say we come to get the knowledge and vision described earlier, and the knowledge and vision described earlier is also right understanding. So during the practice of meditation, vipassana meditation, right understanding arises. So there is right understanding in us. And then at the moment of realization of truth, or at the moment of enlightenment, also, there is also right understanding. So right understanding at that moment is the most powerful belief in law of karma. Now, depending upon that belief, say we practice meditation. Now when we practice meditation, say we come to get the knowledge and vision described earlier, and the knowledge and vision described earlier is also right understanding. So during the practice of meditation, vipassana meditation, right understanding arises. So there is right understanding in us. And then at the moment of realization of truth, or at the moment of enlightenment, also, there is also right understanding. So right understanding at that moment is the most powerful. So right understanding goes through all these three phases of path: the basic path, preliminary path, and the realization path. So the first factor, right understanding, goes through all these three stages. So the right understanding means understanding of law of karma, understanding of true nature of things during vipassana meditation, and understanding of the Four Noble Truths at the moment of enlightenment. Now the next factor is called what? After right understanding, what? Right thought. Now right thought is explained in other discourses as thoughts on freedom from sensuous desires, thoughts on not killing, on non-desire for killing through wishing well to others, and thoughts on non-cruelty, on giving protection out of pity or out of compassion. So there are three kinds of right thought. Thoughts of renunciation, and thoughts of renunciation means thoughts of getting out of mental defilements, or getting out of sensual desires. So that is the first kind of thought. And that consists in, say, thoughts of becoming a recluse, thoughts of renunciation, and thoughts of getting into jhana, and thoughts of doing meritorious deeds and so on. So that is thought of renunciation. The second kind of good right thought is non-killing of beings. So it is associated with metta, loving kindness. And the third thought is the thought of non-cruelty, not being cruel to other living beings, and so it is associated with compassion or karuna. So these are the three kinds of right thoughts explained in other discourses. Now, when we practice meditation, especially vipassana meditation, we do not have thoughts of sensual desires. We do not have thoughts of killing or causing injury to other beings. And so these thoughts are with us when we practice vipassana meditation. We can say that. But actually, if we are thinking of something else than the vipassana meditation, we may be deviating from the meditation itself. Say, thoughts of doing something good, thoughts of the renunciation and so on. If we think about these things while we are meditating, then we are going off the meditation course. So in this case, right thought does not mean the deliberate thinking of something, but it is another kind of right thought. So Mahasi Sayadaw said, but the thought involved in vipassana, the thought means the right thought, involved in vipassana meditation is not intentional exercise of deliberate cogitation or conceiving. It is just slight bending of the mind, or giving direction to it toward perceiving the true reality of rupa and nama, true reality of mind and matter and mind, the nature of their origin and dissolution, and the truth concerning impermanence, suffering and soullessness. So right thought really means, in the practice of vipassana, really means not thinking of these things, but a mental factor in the mind which directs the mind, or which pushes the mind towards the object to be observed. Because it pushes the mind towards the object, the mind reaches the object. And when the mind reaches the object, the mind with the factor of right understanding penetrates into the nature of things. So it is an important factor in the practice of vipassana meditation, in that it takes the mind, or it pushes the mind towards the object, so that mind can see the object and right understanding can understand the true nature of things. So right thought during the practice of vipassana meditation means just that. And it is actually one of the 52 mental factors, which is vitakka, or initial application of mind. So vitakka is like a person who takes another person to a certain place. So who takes a visitor to a place. So in the same way, this mental factor, which is called right thought here, takes the mind to the object, so that mind can see the object and the other mental factors can act upon that object. Now the third factor is what? Right speech. Right speech really means abstention from wrong speech. Not just speaking right, but abstention from wrong speech is called right speech here. And there are 4 kinds of wrong speech: lying, backbiting, harsh speech, and frivolous talk or vain talk. Now, lying is easy to understand. Now, backbiting. I don't know what backbiting is. Saying something bad about someone on his back. But the Pali word does not mean that. Pali word means that after hearing something here, he repeats it at another place to create dissension. And after hearing something there, he repeats it here to create dissension. That is what is called in Pali Pisuna Vaja. So it is not just saying something bad about something on his back, but it is with the intention of creating dissension among friends. He says something about that person, then he takes that speech to him and then reports it to him, and then takes it back again. So it is creating discord or dissension among friends. So that is a second wrong speech. The third wrong speech is harsh speech, using rough words when talking. And sometimes, even though the words themselves may be not rough, not harsh, if the mind is harsh, then it is called a harsh speech. So in the olden days, sometimes when kings want to pass a death sentence on a criminal or a person, he may say, put him to sleep or something like that. So that is also harsh speech, although the words themselves are not harsh, because the intention behind those words are harsh, because he wants the person to be killed. So abstention from these 4. The last one is actually talking nonsense, which does not lead to development in virtue or in concentration or in wisdom. So these vain talks are all included in the last one, the frivolous talk or vain talk or fruitless talk. Now these are the 4 kinds of wrong speech. And abstention from these 4 kinds of wrong speech is called right speech here. And the next one is what? Right action. Right action means abstention from 3 wrong bodily actions. I think you know that. Killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. So abstention from these 3 things is called right action here. And then right livelihood is abstention from wrong livelihood. There are some forms of livelihood which followers of Buddha are not to engage in. Trade in liquor, trade in poison, trade in weapons, trade in human beings, and trade in meat. So these are called the wrong livelihood. And also those kinds of livelihood which involves killing, stealing, and so on are also wrong livelihood. So when a person abstains from wrong livelihood, then there is this right livelihood, or the factor of right livelihood in his mind. Now, if a person who is not a fisherman abstains from killing fish, he has the right action, not right livelihood in his mind. Because killing fish is not his livelihood. But if a fisherman abstains from killing fish, then there is right livelihood in that. So that is the difference. If it is one's livelihood and one abstains from it, then that is right livelihood. Nowadays, it's very difficult, to get a job which involves right livelihood. And then there are people who say bad about some other people, and they want to promote their business, and so they disparage other businesses or something like that. And also there are people who want to snatch some customers away from another company. And so it's not easy in these days to lead a right livelihood. So people should be very, very careful about that. Once a man called me and asked me what long-distance telephone company I subscribe to. Then I told him a name. Then he said, our company has lower rates, so why not change to our company? And I said, no, I don't want to change. He said, why? He was aggressive. Don't you want to save money? Something like that. So I said, I don't use the long distance call much. And also, it is unethical to snatch a customer away from another company, so I don't want to change. That could not be right livelihood. So when a person abstains from wrong livelihood, then right livelihood is in him. So this is the third of the second three. The next one is what? Right effort. And right effort means the effort to avoid unwholesome states which have not arisen, and the effort to abandon unwholesome states which have arisen, and the effort to do wholesome states which have not yet arisen, and the effort to develop, to make much of the wholesome karma or wholesome deeds which have already arisen. So there are 4 aspects of right effort. So when you practice vipassana meditation, you are doing all these 4 things. So you are avoiding akusala from arising. And if by any chance akusala, unwholesome states have arisen, then you pay attention to them and you let them go. So you are abandoning them. And then you are trying to get the concentration. It may be new to you, and then also you try to develop more and more what you have already attained. So when you practice vipassana meditation, you are doing these all 4 aspects of right effort. And the next is what? Right mindfulness, the most important for meditators. So the right mindfulness is explained as the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So that is keeping, yourself mindful of everything at the present moment. I don't need to elaborate on the right mindfulness because you have been doing right mindfulness all the time. Now, Mahasi Sayadaw had something to say here. He said, the sutta itself is very short. It doesn't give any explanation at all. It is just like a table of contents. So he wondered how the 5 disciples would understand and how to practice. So Sayadaw thought that when the Buddha gave this sermon, he might have elaborated on them, on the practice of mindfulness meditation and so on. But when it came to be recorded at the first Buddhist council, the elders at the council may have left them out. I think that is plausible because the sutta as it it cannot give much information on how to practice meditation, satipatthana vipassana meditation. Or we can say only one thing, that is, those 5 disciples have so accumulated so much perfections in the past, and they were so ready to get enlightened that they did not need any elaboration on that. Just a few words from the Buddha and they became enlightened. I don't know which is correct. But in the sutta itself, it is just a mention of sammasati or right mindfulness, and it is not commented upon or elaborated. So this is right mindfulness. And the last one is what? Right concentration. Right concentration is explained in other suttas as 4 jhanas, because only when you get 4 jhanas you get the real strong concentration. So if we were to point out to the best of the concentration, then we must point out to the 4 jhanas. So that is why 4 jhanas are mentioned as right concentration in this sutta on the 4 foundations of mindfulness. But there are many people who do not practice jhana, who do not try to get jhana, but who practice just vipassana meditation, and going along the vipassana path, they realize the truth of nibbana. So what about them? So Mahasi Sayadaw said, what is called vipassana momentary concentration is also to be included in the right concentration. So when a person practices vipassana, pure vipassana meditation, he doesn't get the excess concentration or absorption concentration as those people who practice tranquility meditation get. But similar to the excess concentration and absorption concentration, there is a kind of concentration in vipassana meditation, and that is called momentary concentration. So momentary concentration is similar to excess concentration in that it can subdue the mental hindrances. So when a person has reached a stage where his mind is on the meditation object only, and when he is not interrupted by the arising of mental hindrances, then he is said to gain that momentary concentration in vipassana meditation. And that momentary concentration in vipassana meditation is, or can be called, the purity of mind. So with this purity of mind, he will go on in vipassana meditation and gain insight into the nature of things. So right concentration means the 4 jhanas as well as the momentary concentration which is necessary in the practice of vipassana meditation. So these are the 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, how do we practice these Noble 8 factors? One by one from the beginning to the end, or from the end to the beginning, or what? Sometimes we practice many of them at the same time, right? Now, when we first practice meditation, there may not be right understanding of mind and matter, because we have yet to go to the stage where we really see mind and matter. So, in the very beginning of the practice, there may not be right understanding factor, but later on, then it will arise. So, actually, these factors are working almost at every moment of, say, good concentration or good meditation. Now, the 3 factors, the right speech, right action, and right livelihood, belong to the group of sila, morality. That is why they are accomplished actually before the practice of meditation. So before you practice meditation, you take precepts, and by taking precepts, you are affirming that these 3 factors have already been accomplished. So these 3 belong to the basic stage of noble and basic stage of the middle way. So along with the belief in karma and its results, the 3 factors of morality constitute the basic stage of noble path, the middle path. And when you really practice meditation, these 3 actually do not arise in your mind, although they are said to be accomplished beforehand. So what factors are actively involved in the practice of vipassana meditation? The other 5. Right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, right understanding, and right thought. So these 5 are actively working at every moment of good concentration, and so they are called worker factors or working factors. And so long as these 5 factors are doing their own functions properly, in harmony, our meditation is good. If one of them acts differently, then our meditation is thrown out of balance. So these, at least these 5 factors should be working properly and harmoniously, not one in excess of the others, so that our meditation is good and we make progress. So these are the 8 factors that constitute the middle way or middle path or middle practice, which is called the Noble Eightfold Path. And this Noble Eightfold Path, or the middle way, will be stated as the 4th Noble Truth. So in this Buddha taught the 4 Noble Truths. And among the 4 Noble Truths, the 4th Noble Truth is none other than the Noble Eightfold Path. So after giving the list of the 8 factors, Buddha went on to teach his disciples the 4 Noble Truths. So we will study the 4 Noble Truths tomorrow, and maybe the day after tomorrow also. So may we all, by virtue of having given respectful attention to this great discourse on the turning of the wheel of Dhamma, be able to develop the middle path, otherwise called the Noble Eightfold Path, and by means of path and fruition attain Nibbana, the end of all suffering.